Welcome back to the Whiskey Wimps. Today on the channel, we're going to talk about our my top five favorite whiskeys to pair with a cigar, and also the dangers of pairing whiskey and cigar. We ain't not got no Matt today, so it's just me. It's already been a little bit of a struggle. I hope he comes back next week. He's sick. He had food poisoning, and maybe if he was drinking a little more whiskey, he wouldn't have got food poisoning. Maybe not. Either way, I really hope he comes back because this is just a mess. Like, this is way too much set up for just one episode of the Whiskey Wimps, but hopefully we see Matt next week. Otherwise, I was thinking about doing a thing with old fashions, showing you my special old fashioned recipe that I like to make. Leave a comment down below if you'd like that. Also, leave a comment down below with your favorite whiskey and cigar pairing if you do whiskey and cigar together. All right, let's get into it. This is the Whiskey Wimps. Couple of bottle Master's Keeps here. I guess I should first tell you that everybody's palate is different. What I really like might not be the same for what somebody else likes. I really like dark cigars, things like what I've got laid out here. We got some Liga number 9, basically anything from Drew Estate that's a Maduro or a darker cigar. I like those darker tones in cigars, and I like them with darker whiskeys. I don't really like cigars with rye whiskey as much, although we do have some ryes on today's list. They tend to be a little lower in the rye for a rye, like things like with the 95% rye or 100% rye, things like Whistle Pig, High West, Double Rye, Angel's Envy, some of those things. I really like those without a cigar, but not so much with a cigar because I think I don't like the lighter notes that you get in cigars with the hay and the cream and the lighter cigars. If you like lighter cigars, then maybe you would like them with rye, but for me, I like the darker stuff, so I'm going to give you some good ideas. Before we get into those top 5 whiskeys, let's do a little run over of the dangers of pairing cigar and whiskey. And I'm not talking about health dangers per se. I'm not talking about the danger of accidentally inhaling your cigar while inhaling your whiskey at the same time and choking and getting cancer and falling over on your deathbed. I'm talking about the dangers like this. Like, you might need to enjoy it outside. I have found that I really enjoy whiskey and cigars so much that I often like to have them at the same time. I don't have a cigar room in my house with filtration, which may be something that changes in the future, but for the moment, I don't. And even though we're fortunate to be here in California where the temperatures are pretty mild most of the time, a couple of last nights it was like 22 degrees, and I don't like my whiskey cold, so there's no way I'm sitting out in 22 degrees having a cigar and whiskey. I just negate the cigar, forgo the cigar, and just go sit inside. So that's one of the dangers. Like, you might not live in a place that has a very climate. I think most of the country doesn't have a solid climate that you could just sit out any night and have your whiskey and cigar, so you might find yourself needing to invest in a whole room just for it. That's dangerous. This can be dangerous, especially if your wife's not on board with it. And basically just enjoying it too much, where you used to just love having whiskey, and now you need to have cigar with your whiskey to get your full enjoyment. It's one of the dangers. It's like, I was so happy with just whiskey. Why do I have to get cigars now to like really fill it out? And the reason I have these Master Keeps out here is because I've found that I really enjoy them so much more with whiskey that I really don't want to have them without it. So there's certain whiskeys out there that as I mentioned before, I can have without a cigar, but these are two that I definitely, if I'm going to drink these, I'm going to have a cigar. Like, there's no question about it. I'm not having Master's Keep without a cigar. Those are the dangers. Why don't we talk about why cigars pair well with whiskey in the first place? And I think it's because they have similar notes. You get these tobacco notes they mentioned on the back end of really oaky things. Like these Master's Keeps in particular really have some tobacco on that finish, and it just pairs really well with the cigar. Cigars can carry that chocolate, that sweetness, that spice. There's all these different notes that are similar in whiskey that are found in cigars as well. And so I think that just helps it blend well together. The way the smoke coats your palate makes the whiskey hit the palate a little bit softer, so you can drink higher proof stuff like it's 80 proof almost. So that's why I think that whiskeys pair very well with cigar. Let's go over some of the runners-up that didn't make it on the list because they're just a little too hard to find or a little bit pricey. I wanted my list here to be something that most people in the country could find and not have to spend an arm and a leg just to enjoy. So the first whiskey on my list in that category is Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. And I really enjoyed this with a Perez Carrillo, the Pledge. This is actually probably my favorite whiskey and cigar pairing on the planet. The unfortunate thing is that, well, these aren't always available. You can find them sometimes. They're not impossible to find. This, on the other hand, a bit more impossible to find these days. And so it's just one of those things I need to enjoy it in moderation because I can't just have it any time. So, but it is, unfortunately, my favorite pairing ever, these two right here, but again, hard to find. So we're gonna move on. And this is another bottle that I really enjoy a cigar. It's actually curated for cigars, the Dalmore Cigar Malt blend. No, it's not. It's a single malt. It's not a blend, but they do have different finishes on it. It's finished in, I believe, Oloroso sherry cask as well as another cask, and Scotch and whiskey go together really well too. But for me, the Scotch notes are a bit subdued. This one was more about the mouthfeel for me, and yes, there are some nice notes in there, being that it was finished. But again, this isn't part of our top 5 list because this one's sitting at about $140, $150 retail, and I just got lucky that I found it sitting at a Bevmo the day that I went looking for it, and I have not seen it sitting anywhere else. But you can maybe find it online. But again, our top 5 list is going to involve stuff that you guys should be able to find just about anywhere. Some other real favorites of mine are Little Book and Booker's, depending on which release, of course, but most of them I found go really well with the dark cigars that I enjoy. Those full-bodied, really rich cigars just go really well with these. But Booker's has been going up and up in price every time I see it released, and then Little Book is also pretty high in price and not as easy to find as Booker's, so just runners-up. Our last runners-up before we get into our official top 5 whiskeys to pair with a cigar are Starlight from Starlight Distillery. I've got this finisher here. It's a straight bourbon finished in cognac casks. This was a Bourbon Junkie's pick. Really good. Cognac finish I find goes really well. It kind of, all the notes that you get from the straight bourbon really blend well with the cigar, but that cognac finish gives it a little extra fruity pop over the top that you can really enjoy. And you'll see that in some of the other whiskeys we're going to put in our top 5. We have some cognac finish in there as well. And this one I haven't tried yet. It's a rye whiskey finished in a rum barrel. And I don't know how easy it is for other people around the country to find Starlight. I believe Sealbox has different stuff from them, but if you're not able to have whiskey shipped to you, it could be a little harder. We're kind of blessed here in California. There's a lot of availability to us and a lot of stuff that comes to the state without us having to ship it here, and we can have just anything shipped from just about anywhere in the state or even around the world. So I really wanted to include these on the list, but I just didn't know how available they were out there for everybody else. All right, it's time for the top 5, and this is in a specific order. I listed them by price and maybe thinking about availability as well, but mostly by price. So I'm going to start with the most expensive on the list, and we'll work our way down to the least expensive. But I'll enjoy them all immensely. I don't want to give them any kind of rating which one I enjoy more. There was a time when Sagamore Spirit Cask Strength Rye was my favorite whiskey to have with a cigar, which is interesting because it's a rye, and I said I don't really like the ryes, but Sagamore seems to have a much darker note than a lot of those high rye ryes out there. High rye. This one has more of I feel like there's more corn content going on in this particular whiskey than your standard rye with a 95% rye and whatnot. I feel like it's a much lower rye content, so it's something that really works for me. There's actually a couple other ryes on this list that are in a similar fashion. As I mentioned with the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof, that's also kind of a not as high rye, if you will. And then again, the cognac finish, if you can't find the cask strength or if you can't find the cognac, then either of these two are just phenomenal with the cigar. The cognac giving it that extra fruit pop over the top, like I mentioned that it does, and just they're both phenomenal with cigar, like some of my favorites. Some that I almost don't really want to have without a cigar, kind of like the Master's Keep. I can enjoy them without a cigar, but man, when you have them with the cigar, it just takes it over the top. And these are MSRP at about $65 for the Sagamore and $70 for the cognac finish. So again, most expensive on the list, so it's only getting more affordable from here. You'll notice a lot of the bottles we're showing are mostly gone. That's because I really like them. I drink them a lot. And this one could have been tied for first as far as price with the Sagamore. That's the Maker's Mark FAE-02. This one for me is really all about the mouthfeel. It's just super thick and viscous. And I've actually got a barrel pick from Jason over at the Mash and Drum that I'm waiting to get into as well. He sold me on it because he said the viscousness. The viscousness was just incredible on it, and that's something I really enjoy with a cigar with this, is just really the mouthfeel on this. I mean, there's nice fruit pop in there as well. You get that wheated bourbon softness that comes in and just accentuates the mouthfeel, especially when you put the cigar in there. Probably one of my favorites to have with this is the Liga No. 9 with this dude right here. But This isn't even my only backup. This is how much I enjoyed this whiskey so much that I've noticed this one was going down. I was like, I need another one. I've even got a third backup in the house, which is the farthest back it goes on backups for me. I don't like to have too many bottles of unopened whiskey sitting at the house, but this one I just had to have a second and third bottle unopened because I knew that I was just going to enjoy it that much. I didn't know if I was going to see it again because it's not the most available, but here in California, again, we see it all over the place. So about $60 MSRP. We see it often for $69, $70, no problem all day. So Maker's Mark FAE-02. Rare Breed Rye. I might make some Wild Turkey fans upset with this because people don't want to see this disappear off the shelves, understandably, as it's getting harder and harder to find some of the good whiskeys. But Rare Breed Rye, an absolute winner with a cigar, man. As you can see, I'm gonna have to find myself another bottle. And this one comes in at about 55 MSRP. Lots of places it's easy to find. I know most stores I can go find it for MSRP around here, no problem. I don't know how it is the rest of the country, but I've just got to kind of go with what I really know around here, which is Rare Breed Rye. Easy to find and just a real winner with a cigar. All right, we're down to number 4, one away from the end. Knob Creek Single Barrel Select. This stuff, the 9-year, 10-year, 120 proof Knob Creek, just phenomenal with a cigar. One of my favorites. This is a brand new bottle because I've already finished other Knob Creek single barrels. Just absolutely phenomenal cigar. I love Jim Beam products, and this one is just one of the best out there that I've had. And with a cigar, it just takes it over the top, kind of like it does with Little Book. It's kind of similar. Like if you're looking for something to compare to Little Book, something that will help replace Little Book if you can't find it and you really want to have kind of a Little Book experience, I think that the Knob Creek Single Barrel will do that for you with a cigar. And you should be able to find this $40 to $45 MSRP, and they're really not that hard to find. Knob Creek is readily available, and just like this next one I'm about to show you, it's even more readily available and less expensive. And that's Wild Turkey 101. I really didn't want to have 2 Wild Turkey products on this list of the top 5, but I just had to do it because this is the newer bottle, and then I've still got some of the paper bottles sitting around, the paper label, the older version, the newer version. But both of them, you see, I certainly enjoyed that, and it was fantastic, and I have it with a cigar more often than not. And this stuff you can find this stuff everywhere. $25 MSRP. I often find it on the shelf for $20 because places are just like, there's so much of it, I guess, that they're just selling it for $20. I think I got one for $18 one time, and it's just a winner. You can afford to have this as a daily drinker, and the cherry notes that kick off from the Wild Turkey just played real nicely with a cigar, man. And I couldn't recommend this one more for a cigar. Super good. Well, we made it. We still got sun. Let me know if you enjoyed this content. Let me know if you want to see that old-fashioned recipe I'm talking about. Hopefully we don't do that this month because Matt's going to be here next week, and we're going to film all the other stuff I've got planned with Matt. I got to pack this stuff up before the sun goes down, and we'll see you on the next one. Everything is better with whiskey and cigars.